welcome everyone. Good afternoon. You guys should be able to both hear and see me. Hope you all are doing well. And welcome to today's New York trading stream. Just like last Friday, once again, live trading, live doing analysis, and live answering questions from my side today, while I am managing two big long positions on both Bitcoin and also on BCH. Hope you all are doing well, and I hope you guys are able to see and hear me. Welcome, Fushi. How are you doing, my friend? Good to see you here. Definitely good to see you here. Yo, Flo. How are we doing, big boss? How are we doing? You all should be able to see me. In the meantime, Bitcoin is dumping a little bit towards the downside, which obviously isn't the nicest thing to see when I am long. Where is my long position? Now, all of a sudden, I can't seem to find my long position. While Bitcoin is getting quite the dump towards the downside, actually. Trying to find my long. Should be number 424. Can't seem to find it right now. That's quite odd. I have so many groups of drawings, which is quite crazy. Don't know why I can't find my long position. Too many groups of drawings, and people will probably tell me that I should be naming my groups instead of giving them numbers. But truthfully, I just can't be asked. But every now and then I seem to be losing my drawings, like I am right now. Or did I just remove the drawings myself? Which is possible as well. Should be like number 424 or something. Well, I really can't seem to find it though. This is the short that got front run yesterday, which was really unfortunate. That is really odd. Let me see if I can track it back by just clicking the undo button. That is a lot of groups, isn't it, Antonin? Welcome, guys. Good to see so many people already tuning in. Welcome, Antonin. Welcome, Kelechi, legend. Welcome, Anun. How are you doing, Anun? Good to see you here. Welcome, the latest trends. Yip, when will you do another seminar in Amsterdam? Oei, good question. Somewhere next year. And I am not 100% sure if I will do it in Amsterdam again. Might do it in like London or Barcelona or like Ibiza maybe. There we go. This is my, did I remove? I didn't remove these drawings. Anyways, I found my long position back over here, as you guys can see. I joined your Tribe Talk session today. Just message you in legend. Appreciate you, Flo. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. Really excited for tonight's Tribe Talks. Let me actually send over the questions that I had in mind to discuss during the Tribe Talks session. But please, I will send them over in DM to you. Make sure that you add some questions yourself. Oh, and also make sure to translate them from Dutch to German. Add some questions and kind of like your notes for the answers yourself as well, Flo. Please and thank you. Hope you are doing well, guys. Good to see so many people in the live stream. Let me start off with explaining my long position on Bitcoin. Yo, Obi-Wan, how are you doing? Good evening, Serafim from Indonesia. The latest trends. It was great in Amsterdam last year. I 100% agree. Were you there in 2025 or 2024 during the event that we hosted? I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I just might want to do something different next year. I don't know yet. We might do it in Amsterdam again, but for sure we're gonna host another IRL trading event for sure. Welcome, Joanna. Welcome, P. Kinman, legend. How are you doing, my friend? Good to see you here once more. Actually, today, guys, I have a special guest. Our dog, Leo. Come eens. Leo, come. Come. Yeah. Come. Leo, come. Go. Oh. Let's show you. I don't know if you guys can see him. You guys should be able to see him. What's Bitcoin going to do today? It's going to pump today, huh? Yes, Bitcoin is going to pump. Let's send Bitcoin towards $93,709. My dog is saying. And my dog, guys, for those that don't know, my dog is my Quan. So, absolute legend. Oh, DLB red flag. DLB is saying cats over dogs. Cannot agree. We don't agree, Leo. No, we don't agree, my friend. No. Are you buying spot on that area? No, I do buy spot on a monthly basis, but not necessarily at these levels. How old are you, bro? P1, P2 is best. I am 24 years old. And P1, P2 is really overpowered. Hello, setup from X still valid. I'm long on Bitcoin and ETH as planned. Well, I am not intraday long yet on Bitcoin. I'm just in these long positions over here, as you can see, and I have a DCA entry over here. But I will go over the plans that I shared on X in a little bit and explain. There we go. Explain what I want to see in order to get a trigger on those plans, because they are plans, but pre-planning certain setups and then getting a trigger to actually execute your setups, those are two different things. Safari. Yeah, it is Flow. Same one, but smaller. Cockapoo is it's the race. I feel like it's broke for a trend line. I don't use trend lines myself, bro. DOB, you're still a legend though, but cats over dogs, oh. Extremely cute, eh? How to learn P1, P2. I'm actually going to send you a quick little tutorial in the chat, which you can see or can have a look at after today's live stream, my friend. At Pixel Moment. Yeah, I would wait for the actual trigger, Safari. Hello, Yip. I wonder what your estimated revenue on 2025. In your crypto account. Well, I won't share the exact numbers, suspect zeroist. But it's enough to pay my bills and to travel and to, you know, do things that I like to do. Let's just put it that way. Anyways, I am long on Bitcoin over here. The reason being is this very aggressive weekly open dump we have seen yesterday, okay? And that dump brought us towards this very important key demand area, okay? Now, why is this demand such a high probability and strong demand area? In my opinion, it's due to several reasons, right? So when we try to identify the difference between high probability and low probability order blocks or supply and demands, whatever you want to call it, there's 5 requirements a demand or supply area needs to tick in order to be high probability. If it doesn't tick at least 4 out of 5 of those requirements, in my opinion, it's a low probability order block, okay? So the first requirement for a high probability demand area in this case is that while the demand is being formed, so the demand candle, as you guys know, is the last red candle before an impulse towards the upside, or the last green candle before an impulse towards the downside. So this is our demand, right? Now, the first requirement that it needs to tick is that while the demand is being formed, it needs to sweep important sell side liquidity. As we can see, we had pivotal sell-side liquidity resting over here. Price swept in towards that liquidity pool. Demand was formed that fueled this impulse towards the upside, okay? Now, why is it so important that when a demand or supply area is being formed, that it actually taps into a big liquidity pool? Because within that liquidity pool, bigger players are allowed to fill their bigger buy or sell orders. Now, if the big players are not able to fill their buy positions, do we think that it's a high probability demand area? Obviously, it isn't, because the bigger players need to be able to position themselves in order for the area to become a high probability demand area. Now, in this case, we can see the price swept into a very important sales liquidity pool. Okay, so that's the first requirement check. The second requirement that a high probability demand area needs to tick is that after the demand area has been formed, it needs to see an impulse towards the upside when we talk about demand that gives us a high probability market structure break. Now we can see the price gave us indeed a high probability market structure break over here with this exact impulse towards the upside. Okay, now why is this a high probability market structure break? Because both lows over here mitigate important liquidity pools. That first low mitigated this liquidity pool, and the second low, as I just mentioned, mitigated this important liquidity pool. So both lows mitigate an important liquidity pool, and the high that we break through brought us to a lower low over here compared to this low that brought us to that lower high. So therefore, this is a high probability market structure break, meaning that the second requirement is checked. Now, the third requirement is that while or after the demand has been formed, we need to create a bullish breakaway gap. What do I mean by a bullish breakaway gap? A bullish fair value gap that we can see over here. Now, why is that fair value gap so important? Once again, it just makes sense. That breakaway gap is indicating that a lot of buyers are stepping into the market, which means that basically, while the demand was being formed, a lot of buyers stepped in. There were so many buyers that were stepping in that price formed a breakaway gap. It created a gap in fair value, which indicated that indeed a lot of buyers were stepping in, okay? So it means that it's a strong demand area because a lot of demand literally entered right there. So the breakaway gap is very, very important alongside that sweep of sell-side liquidity and also the market structure break to make this a high probability demand area. Now, the fourth requirement is that right above the demand area, we need to form a valid inducement. This right over here is, in my opinion, a beautiful, beautiful inducement, okay? An inducement is basically a front run of a supply or demand area, okay? In which after that front run, price is behaving in a certain way, in a certain manner, and therefore a lot of people choose to put their stop loss beneath or above that front run of that demand or supply area. Now we can see that over here, we front run this demand area, and afterwards price gave us a strong push towards the upside, okay? The problem over here was that this reversal structure took place over the weekend. So a lot of liquidity was engineered beneath this low, making this a valid inducement for that demand area that we were speaking about, okay? You can even argue that either like this is our demand or this is our demand, okay? If this is our demand, we can even argue that this is our front run of that demand, okay? So one or even two beautiful inducements formed right above that demand. Now, why, once again, is that inducement so important? That inducement is basically engineering liquidity either above or inside of that demand area or below that supply area. By engineering liquidity above or below the demand or supply, that liquidity is once again allowing the bigger players to step into the market once we sweep that inducement in towards the demand or supply, okay? So let's say I have a beautiful demand area over here, right? So let's say there was liquidity resting over here, price sweeps, forms demand, pushes up, right? So let's say this is an important demand area. Now, if there is no liquidity resting over here, right? How are the bigger players going to fill their positions if price just gives a retest like this? They won't, right? They won't be able to, because they need a lot of liquidity in order to fill their positions. So what does price do? It front runs that demand and then, for example, builds up liquidity like this. Now we have liquidity that is building up beneath those lows. That liquidity is building up right above or inside of that demand area. If price now gives us a test of that demand, the bigger players are now able to fill their buy positions and long positions over here due to the amount of liquidity that we were building up over here, okay? And that's why an inducement like this one, a valid one, is so important as the fourth requirement, okay? So keep that in mind always for the rest of your trading career. No inducement, you cannot trade a demand or supply area. Now, the fifth requirement, and I think this is a very important one, is that the supply or demand area needs to align with your bias. If you are bearish, right, a demand area doesn't mean anything, right? If price is not meant to trade upwards, a demand area doesn't mean shit, right? If you are bullish, a supply area doesn't mean shit, right? Because if price is not meant to trade lower, a supply area won't be able to save you, okay? So those are the 5 requirements. Now we can see that this demand area ticks all of those 5 requirements for me. So when I could see that weekly open dump in towards the demand area over here yesterday, I started to become interested in longs, okay? So I was short on Bitcoin several times last week. Even tried to short it yesterday. I got slightly front run, which was quite nasty over. No, not this one. That one got front run as well. But this one got front run over here. Very nasty. But I was interested in longs earlier this morning. So I could see, okay, we are holding this demand. We are pushing up. And then Bitcoin started forming a strong daily low over here, okay? So by forming this strong daily low, statistically speaking, let me quickly see, guys. Trying to keep up with the chat. Hello, Mark Daniel Muller. Welcome to the stream, my friend. Thank you for the kind words. Let's see, Jawad. Hopefully an inverted Bart Simpson on ETH. Enough said, closing problem. Okay, perfect, Safari. Don't ask people to share their financials online, bro. We don't want Jeep to end up murdered by some Russian gangsters. Yeah, I've read that story, which is crazy. But that guy was defrauding people, you know? I will try to, Anubis. Thank you for tuning in and saying hi, Barry. Good to see you here, my friend. Thank you, DOB. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, my friend. Good luck at work. Yo, Jake, welcome, my friend, and welcome, Bitcoin Kimchi. Good to see so many people tuning into the live stream once again. Hey, bro, are you already in a position? Yes, I am currently positioned long like this on Bitcoin with the DCA entry over here. I'm looking to add more longs though during the New York session. In a little bit, I will explain to you guys what I want to see in order to add more longs. But the reason why I started longing Bitcoin earlier today over here is due to the fact that we did put in a very strong daily low right here, statistically speaking. I would really indeed appreciate a like on this live stream for the 75 people that are currently watching. I agree, the latest trend. Thank you for reminding them, my friend. Yo, Olivier, how are you doing, my friend? Is this the Olivier that I think it is? Or is this a different Olivier? Welcome to the stream, Wolf and Bear. So when we look at the daily statistics for the current daily candle on Bitcoin, and I select the last 18 months of data, I can see that based on the timing, right? So based on the timing that we put in this low and this high on Bitcoin, I can see that only 17.9% of days take out the daily low from here, meaning that 82% of days would hold a daily low, right? Also based on the distance that we have made from the daily low towards the daily high, let me select the last 24 months to get a little bit more data. Based on the distance that we made from the P1, which is the daily low, and towards the P2, which is the daily high, we can see the price made a distance of, where can I see? 3% from the low towards the high, okay? 32.7% of days take out the daily low based on the distance, which means that around 67% of days would hold a daily low. Now, if I just select the last 6 months and then I select all weekdays instead of just Tuesdays, I can see that only 22% of days would take out the daily low from here, okay? Meaning that both based on the timing of the low and the high for the current day on Bitcoin, but also based on the distance that we made from the daily low towards the daily high, this is a pretty strong low to hold for the remainder of the day. Now, if this indeed is a strong low to hold for the rest of the day, and let's assume that this low indeed holds, it would mean that we likely continue higher, right? Which is why I decided not to wait too long with opening a long position and just started market longing over here with my invalidation beneath that demand, okay? Also because we have this SMT between Bitcoin and Ethereum. So where Ethereum was forming a lower low overnight and swept Monday's low, Bitcoin formed a higher low. Big sign of strength in my opinion, right? SMT stands for Smart Money Technique Divergence, which is indicating a potential price reversal. So lots of signs of strength by the bulls on Bitcoin earlier today, which made me market long over here with a bit of a wider stop and also potential DCA entry. I'm currently risking, let me quickly check my Bybit, currently risking around $18,000 on this long position. If my DCA entry gets hit, that risk gets increased to $27,000. Okay, so it's a big long position for me. If I get wrecked, I get wrecked hard because I lose $27,000, which sucks. Obviously part of the trading game, but it would suck, of course. So big long position for me. Now I'm looking to potentially add even more margin to this long position. And in order to add more margin to this long position, I'm looking for a continuation structure over here, okay? Thank you for the like, guys. I really appreciate it. To all the people that are liking this live stream, I really appreciate you guys. Now, I'm looking to add more margin and more longs to my current long on Bitcoin. Because what we can see on the 50-minute time frame, it's not that visible. It's more visible on the 5-minute time frame. Over here, we can see that Bitcoin manipulated lows, right? And gave us basically also this local high probability reversal structure, okay? Now we know that after a local reversal structure over here, potentially we should be looking at a continuation structure. Now, this is usually what it looks like. So you have your reversal structure followed by a continuation structure. And that's exactly what is potentially going on Bitcoin. And it's also in line with our New York session that started over here. So now I'm just waiting for a trigger. And a trigger would be for price to trade back above this high over here, okay? If price decides to trade back above this high, we have a potential continuation structure in play because we can indeed see that price is slow grinding over here, gets an aggressive flush down. If price cannot trade back above this high, it should squeeze higher, okay? And that's the exact scenario that I'm currently looking for on Bitcoin. Give me 1 second, guys. That's currently what I'm looking for on Bitcoin, okay? So if Bitcoin manages to, I think, yeah, this structure is definitely visible on the 15-minute time frame. So I would need Bitcoin to close a candle above this high. And then also session statistics would probably turn quite bullish. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. I think if we confirm this continuation structure, the session statistics, which are currently probably still very, very bearish on Bitcoin, would turn very bullish on Bitcoin. The daily stats would turn even more bullish on Bitcoin, which in my opinion means that I think if Bitcoin trades above this high over here, this daily low will have an extremely high probability to hold for the rest of the day. Okay? Like, let's assume, I don't know, an 85 to 90% probability to hold for the rest of the day. Which means that we likely won't form a new weekly low on Tuesday. Okay? Now, that means that if price trades back above this high, I can basically, it allows me to tighten my stop loss from this low towards the current weekly low. I can then remove this DCA entry. I mitigate my risk from like 27K to, I don't know, 18K probably. And then I can add another long position over here with a new invalidation. Now, why does this become a new invalidation? Because if we don't sweep this low today, I don't want this low to get swept anymore in order to remain bullish, okay? We know that if Bitcoin makes a new weekly low to the downside on a Wednesday, so starting right over here, that weekly stats will turn extremely bearish and that we will likely see lower prices this weekly candle, okay? So if we can assume that today we don't sweep the weekly low and daily low over here anymore, then from tomorrow onwards, we need to hold this low anyways to not go towards this stop loss over here, right? So that means that if price gives me a reason to assume that the low will hold for the rest of today, I can basically already tighten my stop loss from this low towards, in that case, my new invalidation for my bullish thesis, which is below the current daily low and the current weekly low as well, of course. At the end of the day, it's completely up to you, Safari. I'm not here to give any financial advice. So I think what I will do is as soon as Bitcoin makes a new high, I will tighten my stop loss towards a weekly low and add more margin. Yeah. That's what I'm going to do. So if Bitcoin can make a new daily high, I probably will move my stop loss to the weekly low. I will actually move my stop loss to the weekly low. And then I will add more margin. So it will be a market long like this for me. If we make a new daily high, of course. Targeting higher levels this week. No idea yet what my target is though. But only if Bitcoin manages to make a new daily high and a new session high. I am positioned in 2 longs, yes, EO. New York session just opened, so we can expect a lot of volatility from here, guys. Just keeping my eye closely on Bitcoin, because as soon as it makes a new high, I want to market long. Sorry guys, not really able to answer any questions now. I will mark along probably another 5 or 6 Bitcoin. Yeah, because it will set in play the continuation structure, will confirm the daily low that it should hold for the rest of the day, which basically also means the weekly low. And if we take out the weekly low tomorrow on a Wednesday, guys, my bias flips bearish anyways for the rest of the weekly candle. So I don't know if it's a safe entry, Ian. I don't know where your invalidation is. Once the market open is done and prices settle a little bit, I can answer some more questions, guys. Also still in this swing on BCH. Looking to de-risk some in a little bit of profit if we get there, of course. I hope we get there so I can de-risk some. Because I'm risking around 17k. Let me quickly check. Yeah, 18k I'm risking on this BCH swing. And I don't like this rejection from the supply. Don't like it at all, to be fair. So I'm looking to mitigate some risk if we are able to get back into profit. For ETH, very simple. Waiting for a market structure break, basically. So either this scenario to get set into play, which doesn't really seem like it yet. But I'm basically, in order to really get interested in longs again on ETH, I'm waiting for this 2-hour market structure break over here. So as long as ETH doesn't give us this high probability market structure break over here, I won't be interested in longs on ETH. Very, very simple. Sweat major sell side, which I really, really like. So we are potentially manipulating sellers over here. So that's potentially really, really bullish. But structure is still bearish for now. So I still need price to trade back above this high to break on the 2-hourly time frame. And I need a 2-hour candle to open and close above this high. In that case, I am interested to potentially long the higher low, targeting this buy side, and maybe even this supply area on ETH. But you can see how we are, potentially manipulating sellers. Price tries to break down beneath this pivotal low over here once, twice, and a third time, trying to trap sellers as it seems. In the meantime, Bitcoin trying to find its way back towards the upside still. I think if we trade back above this high, we could maybe even squeeze towards those weekly highs over here today. I think, I'm not too sure though, but it will allow me to open up another long. Hello, the radio, how are you doing, my friend? I haven't determined my take profit targets yet, to be fair. Goliathus Gaming. In the meantime, guys, you guys can ask me some questions because it seems like Bitcoin is calming down a little bit. And I'll keep my eye on Bitcoin on my left screen. And as soon as it makes a new daily high, I will market execute another long. Yeah, this is basically what that long would look like. That second long. I think this would make up for a very nice target. Also aligns with the range high area. If we get there, of course, right? This is always if. But yeah, this would probably be my target. Let's see. Why I really like these continuation structures is due to the fact that you have your original reversal structure. Well, in this case on Bitcoin it was slightly different. You can say, okay, here you have your original reversal structure, or here, and then price trades higher. People see this slow grinding price action down, and then this flush down. As soon as this flush down over here happens, a lot of people trigger shorts, right? Because they can see price breaking through previous lows over here, okay? So people execute shorts. Now, or they execute shorts over here. And that is also exactly why you would want this flush down to be aggressive, which we can see today, which is really, really nice potentially, right? The more aggressive this flush down, the more people will be inclined to open up brand new shorts over here. All those people that are opening up shorts, as soon as they become or get underwater over here, they potentially start closing their shorts, and that closure of those shorts will trigger a squeeze towards the upside, okay? Because closing shorts is basically adding to the buy pressure, okay? And that is why I really like to play these continuation structures. Because all the people are looking at is this breakdown. So they start shorting over here, targeting lower levels, you know? But we kind of need those shorts to fuel a squeeze to the upside. And those people forget about the accumulation that is going on over here, you know? And those accumulated longs, they need to be able to offload their positions, which I think can happen potentially above this high, you know? But first, let's see if we even get a trigger, you know? Because for now, those shorts are still around break even and in profit. But as soon as price starts trading above this high, I think they might get squeezed, potentially. But for now, those shorts are still chilling. Makes sense. I am long on ETH with stops break even, but intraday ETH / Bitcoin is pretty weak. Yeah, Bitcoin is a little stronger than Ethereum today. Where actually over the last couple of days, Ethereum was a lot stronger, Jordi. Can you give your thesis on that pair, Ethereum versus Bitcoin? Jordi, I will do so later, okay, my friend? I hope that's okay. Solo Supa Trupa is asking how much leverage I am using. My friend, one thing is very, very important to always be aware of. Leverage, when it comes down to risk management, is completely and utterly irrelevant, okay? All that you should be aware of when trading, when it comes down to risk management, is that you are always, or you need to always be aware of the amount of money that you are putting at stake in case that your stop loss gets hit, okay? And that amount, in my opinion, should never ever exceed 1 to 3% of your trading portfolio. So that's very important to be aware of. Not necessarily, Safari. I hope that answer helps you. But I think on these positions, I'm using like 10, 15x leverage. Yeah, 10x leverage on Bitcoin and 15x leverage on the BCH long. But like I said, it's completely irrelevant. Welcome to the stream, Vladimir. Yeah, do you think so, Kitse? Pain484 Crypto. What was your portfolio when you started, and what tips will you give to flip accounts? I can't remember the exact portfolio when I started, but I did start in the middle of the biggest bull run crypto has ever seen. So I would deposit like, I don't know, couple of thousand into a trading portfolio, would blow it up in like a day or two, deposit another couple of thousand, and I would go on like that. I was very fortunate back at the time that crypto was just rising like a maniac every single day, which would mean that I would blow up my account for a couple of $1,000s, but then my investment portfolio would make a couple of $1,000s again on the exact same day, you know? And I would just take that profit every single time and deposit it into my trading account and continue to blow it up until I was like, what the fuck am I doing, you know? I'm just gambling my money away. But obviously, there were some days where I was making a lot of money with leverage trading. So I knew that there was money to be made, but at that moment in time, I was just gambling, you know? Awesome. Hey, I like that, Jordi. Working out every single day is important. I went for a leg day today. I was dead, man. I was dead. Quite a boring New York Open. I am not going to lie. Beast Horror 454 is saying, "Hey Yip, I've passed 2 times a 100k funded account, but I don't really dare to take a trade. The only reason why you would be afraid to take a trade is because you don't have the stack of proof yet that you are a profitable trader, right? And that your strategy and system are profitable. If you would have that stack of proof in the form of a data set supporting the profitability of your trading system, you wouldn't be afraid to take any trade, whether it's on a funded account or a live, personal capital account. So I think for you, Beast Horror 454, the solution is in building your data set first and building that stack of undeniable proof first that you are a profitable trader before you start thinking about trading funded accounts, which I am not a fan of at all, or your own personal capital account, you know? You can always like shoot me a DM on Twitter or on Instagram, Beast Horror, and we can talk further there. To the people that don't follow me yet on Twitter or on Instagram, both links can be found in the description of the stream down below. I would appreciate a follow on both platforms. Post a lot of content there as well on a daily basis. True. Safari lately, 10 a.m. has provided some big moves. Leg day is always rough, Jordan. Fucking hate it. Good afternoon. Why are you fan of funded accounts? You mean why am I not a fan of funded accounts? There's many reasons why I am not a fan of funded accounts and prop firms. I think if I would have to explain myself, the main reason why I'm not a fan of funded accounts and prop firms is that I think trading, first of all, should be treated as a profession, not as a hobby or not as calculated gambling. And I think there's a very thin line between gambling and day trading. And I think what prop firms do is gamify the profession of trading, and I don't think trading is a game, you know? I think the second reason why I am not a fan of funded accounts and prop firms in general is that I think trading on itself is hard enough already. And with all of the rules and restrictions that prop firms, put you on, I think they make trading even harder. you know. And like I mentioned, trading is hard on itself already. So why would you make it even harder for yourself? And another reason I can continue to go on like this, right, about funded accounts and prop firms. Many many people think that prop firms is or are the only shortcut towards profitability, you know, towards making trading work full time. If you think that there's a shortcut in general to anything worth having in life, I think you're just ignorant, right? I am a strong believer, and yes, like there will always be exceptions. But guys, in the casino, there's also always exceptions, right? Of people like my very good friend Kane received world record payout, like I think 1.5 years ago. Like he's an exception on that rule, you know, the way that he like literally played the game of prop firms is insane. Like obviously crazy respect for that, but he's an exception. Just like there's also people in casinos being a major exception, right? But matter of the fact is like the majority of people will fail at trading prop firms. I think the only shortcut towards making trading full time, or the only shortcut in general, like to like your goals, is by taking the slow and steady route, you know. And I think many people are just very ignorant, and they think that they will be that exception, you know, when trading prop firms or trading funded accounts. And I think, you know, even if you are profitable, it's just a matter of time before you get banned, you know, or before you get restricted. It's a fact. And I think, you know, focusing on prop firms instead of personal capital accounts, super ignorant. Thank you, Mark Daniel. Waiting for London to close. What's your outlook for BCH regarding the short term? I will go over BCH in a little bit. I'm just still waiting for that stupid trigger on Bitcoin to market long a position. I will promise you guys that no matter what happens in life, I will always try to remain as humble as possible, my friend. So, yeah. Critical thinking and relentless persistence equals success. There is no short. I 1000% agree, Jordi. Couldn't agree more. That's the problem. People compare them with these exceptions and create unrealistic values. Exactly. Very well said, Jordi. A walk or a run, Mal? I need to go for a run tomorrow already. I'm not looking forward to it. Oh my god, I hate running. And Maurice knows. Solid device, your training skills are up there, but might be more amazing if you eliminate Dutch accent. Did I eliminate my Dutch accent? You're the very first one saying that to me, Jordi. I always get harassed for it. Walk, nice, man. What is my exact trigger? Because we already reached the lows of 86k, as you put on Twitter. My trigger is trading back above this high. Because when we look at the current New York session, right, which opened at 12 UTC over here, and I believe it closes at 10 or 9 UTC. Let's say 10 UTC. We can see that Bitcoin first formed the high for the New York session and afterwards formed the low for the New York session. Okay. Ooh, Bitcoin, wait, I need to keep my eye on this because it might trade above that high. So to get back to this question, Bitcoin first formed its high for the New York session and afterwards formed its low, which means that the high for now is the P1 first pivot because it got literally formed first. The low is P2 because it got formed second. So If Bitcoin trades back above this high, which is about to happen, I will press market long. Zooming in. Moment of truth. Are bulls strong enough? Not yet. Not yet. Pussies. Bulls are fucking pussies. Pussies for real. For real, for real. Well, I think we can continue. So we can see, like, this is why breaking above this high would be my long trigger, right? My trigger to add more margin to my long. Because we can see that New York put in its high first and its low second. So high is P1, low is P2. Now, if we then navigate towards the Brighter Data statistical platform, and we have a look at the New York session time statistics, what we can see is that New York forms the P1 around 90% of the time within the first 3 hours over here, as you guys can see, right? Only 4.6% of New York sessions form it after 3 p.m. UTC time, in between 3 p.m. and 3:30 p.m. I mean, only 3.1% in between 3:30 and 4 p.m. and only 3.1% between 4:30 and 5 p.m. right? So around 90% of the New York sessions form its first pivot within the first 3 hours, which means within this time period over here, which means that in around 7 minutes, those first 3 hours are done. If Bitcoin then breaks above this high, right? Or for example, right now breaks above this high, this low, statistically speaking, will have around a 90% probability to hold for the remainder of the New York session over here, okay? Which means that this will become a very strong session low. And also we set in play the continuation structure that I spoke about earlier in this live stream, okay? Which for me is a reason, a trigger to add more margin to my current long position and also tighten my stop loss, not to the session low, but to the weekly low, because that on a bigger picture is still my invalidation in that case for my bullish thesis. But bull's not strong enough yet, guys. Let's have a look at the 1 hour candle. Oh, pretty strong though. 4 hour. Let's see if it can start expanding at some point. Potential deviation as well of the value area low. Big volume gap over here. And the top of that volume gap aligns with, you know, this buy side. Quite interesting. Quite interesting. And this is the long that I'm currently already holding. But if we make a new daily high, I would then tighten my stop loss through the weekly low, remove the second entry, and add more margin. Now we'll be allowed to add more margin due to the fact that if I move my stop loss from this low over here towards the current weekly low right there, I will mitigate my risk, right? My risk will get a lot smaller, which allows me to add more margin while keeping my risk, my original risk, the exact same. Not much happening right now. Let's see. What is your opinion on the correlation between S&P 500 and Bitcoin? Obviously, I'm not going to deny the fact that they are correlated, because they are strongly correlated, especially like NQ and Bitcoin. But I never let my decision making be influenced by what the S&P or NQ are doing, you know, my decision making on Bitcoin or vice versa. So I try to treat them completely as separate assets. And I think if you don't, it's just noise, you know, it's all just noise at the end of the day. And I think as a trader, one of the best things you can do is block out the noise as much as possible. So news events, correlated assets, inverse correlated assets, you know, all that kind of stuff is, in my opinion, just noise. Epic, or I don't know, ask question cranks. Yeah, it literally was 1 pixel off market long, one little pip. Bingo, my friend, how are you doing? Good to see you here, boss. Bro, you've been killing it lately. Keep it going. Thank you very much, Bingo. I appreciate you big time. But you know that. I hope you are doing well, my friend. Haven't spoken in a while. Definitely an anti-climax. Isn't the New York Open at 3:30? The true New York Open that Brighter Data uses is not at 3:30 Central European time, but at noon UTC time. Going to do the same, brother. So that's the New York Open that Brighter Data is using, Wessel Maas. Has the Tribe Capital Discord been closed? The only way to get access to the Tribe Capital community is by applying for the mentorship program in the description down below, AirMax. So you can apply for a one-on-one mentorship program, and one of the perks of the one-on-one mentorship program is access to Tribe Capital through the link in the description down below. It's the very first link, and it takes 30 seconds to apply. And then if your application is interesting, I will reach out to you. ETH also filled 50% of the wick to the downside today. Yeah, I've seen that now. If this is the dead cat bounce, we surely need to make the bounce feel like we are back before we go low again, in my opinion. Your bullish setup preference makes much more sense than looking for shorts. If I had to guess, I would say 105k would be a great target for that dead cat bounce. 105k, that's quite a big move, my friend. Let's see. If you target this zone, this is quite some interesting education actually. If you have 3 highs lining up like this, right? And you can definitely argue that there is liquidity resting above those highs. What a lot of people tend to do, and I think this is a major mistake, so I'm going to give you guys some alpha here, so pay attention. What a lot of people are doing is that if they indeed accumulate longs over here or up on this move towards the downside and they're looking for a take profit target, what most people tend to do is that they use this high to take profit. Correct? I think that's what the majority of people are doing. If you have 3 highs lining up like this, or 3 lows lining up like this, and you are short, you need to make sure that you are always taking profit at the first high over here, and not the second high or the third high, okay? Greediness is really, in my opinion, what kills most traders, okay? So what the majority of people will do, they will take profit or try to take profit on their longs over here, but instead they should be taking profit over here, okay? And it works the exact same way, vice versa. So let's say you have 3 lows lining up like this, and people get, for example, short over here, then they want to take profit at the lowest low. But the true liquidity is resting beneath the low right here, okay? And this is something that a lot of people, either they don't understand what I was just explaining, or they do understand, but they are just so greedy that they still don't listen. It's just as simple as it is, you know? So for example, I am targeting this liquidity buildup over here, right? This is like a great example. What a lot of people would do is they would try to take profit over here. What I am doing instead is taking profit over here, okay? You would be amazed by the amount of time that Bitcoin could do something like this, you know, front run this high and then reverse. And that's very, very, very painful. Yes, bro, my dog is here, Mo. Leo, come eens. Come. Yeah, come. I'm gonna get my dog and you can see that Bitcoin is probably gonna pump. Come. Oh, gaan we weer. Oh. Can you tell Bitcoin to pump? Please? Yes. Yes. Ooh, we might actually break that daily high soon. Oh, 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 oh. You want to press market long? You want to press market long? The cutest dog on this planet. Yes. Yes. I don't use EMA's Safari. It's my pleasure, Vladimir. Always trying to spill some golden nuggets. We often see moves happen around this time. I just explained my trigger step by step, pain 4-8. So maybe scroll back a little bit and I explained my trigger like 3 minutes ago. 7 minutes have passed. What is the plan? Oh my god, Juan. Very impatient. If you remain this impatient in life, trading is probably not made for you, my friend. My plan has not changed. Has it, Leo? Has my plan changed? No. No. Oh. Come. Bye. So Bitcoin seems like it's finding its way back towards the downside. Jordi, man, you're spilling some facts today, my friend. No, I don't use order flow. Let's see what ETH is doing. Still weak. Still very, very, very weak. Clean delivery though, towards this sell side. I'm not going to lie. I like these wicks to the downside though. They are indicating absorption of price of sellers and shorters. I like that. If you see a lot of wicks like this to the downside into a liquidity pool, it often indicates absorption of sell pressure and short pressure. Quite bullish, I'm not gonna lie. If ETH can shift structure over here on the 2-hourly time frame, and we also have this SMT, high probability setup, man. There would be a high probability setup, and I would be seeking for longs like this, probably targeting this drop-off point. Would be a clean long position, I'm not going to lie. Would be very, very clean. We also still have this liquidity. Once again, same thing, right? You have 4 highs. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. 4 highs lining up. Majority of people would try to take profit on their longs over here. So instead, you want to take profit on your longs over here. It's going to help you so many times. Same. If you would get short, don't put your stop loss over here. Put your stop loss of your short over here. It's going to help a tremendous amount of times. But we need a candle to open and close above this high on the 2-hourly time frame on ETH. So not just close above, no, open and close above on Ethereum, guys. In order to get a confirmed market structure break, in my opinion, price needs to open and close above a significant high or below a significant low on your preferred time frame. For now, I am bullish, Pyro Freak. At the end of the day, I'm playing a game of probabilities. You know, I can be bullish, I can be bearish, but I'm still wrong around 40% of the time. How long did it take you to become profitable? Too long, Beast Horror. Max. Our sister is calling. You can text her that I'm... It took me way too long to become profitable. And I think the main reason why it took me so long to become a profitable trader is due to the amount of information that was out there, and I was just super overwhelmed. Like, I think it's both a blessing and a curse that there is so much free information out there these days. It's obviously a blessing, right? Because our parents, our grandparents didn't have access to all of like this free information and education. But it can also be a curse because you don't know what information to trust. There are so many different sorts of strategies and systems out there when it comes down to trading. So what strategy are you choosing? And it's very easy to flip-flop strategy if one strategy is not working. And that is exactly what I was doing. Like, there was so much information out there, so many different strategies. So I would focus on one and then the next week focus on the next one. If I took a couple of losses, I would hop to the next strategy. And I think therefore it took me way too long to become a profitable trader. Instead of what I should have done is probably like look for the right guidance and also just focus on one strategy and create my edge with that one strategy. And I think those were the two main mistakes that I made, and therefore it took me way too long. I think it took me to really become consistently profitable 1.5 years. Welcome to the stream, Pseudo Privileges. How expensive is it to own a dog? I would not know, Jake, because this is my parents' dog. I'm just dog sitting today. But as far as I know, owning a dog is hella expensive, bro. I would love to have a dog, but I'm just traveling way too much right now, so I can't like have that responsibility. What's your biggest advice that you would give to yourself if you weren't this profitable? The best advice I would give when I would start out and wasn't profitable. Don't overcomplicate trading. I think the majority of especially beginning traders are overcomplicating trading. I think, and it's a logical way of thinking, right? Because you would think that the harder you make it for yourself, or the more complicated you would make it for yourself, the quicker you would become profitable once you understand the complexity of a trading strategy. But I actually am a strong believer that simplicity is key. And you know, you have this football player, Johan Cruyff, and he would always say about football as well that like the best thing you could do when playing a game of football is keep it as simple as possible. But it's also the hardest thing to do, especially for human beings. And I think it really reflects back to trading, actually. A lot of questions, guys. Let me keep up. What did I just say to my dog? A lot of things, Antonine, in Dutch. I said, come here. And then, I don't know what I always just ramble when I talk to my dog or to my parents' dog. Pain484 is asking, what trigger do I look for when price is visiting a POY? Interesting question. Either a high probability reversal structure or a significant reversal structure with an SMT, which means that, let's say, very simple, this is my POY and I am bullish on the price of Bitcoin or ETH. or euro against the dollar, which I also trade. If price arrives at my POI, I'm waiting for a high probability bullish reversal structure. Now, a bullish reversal structure only has a high probability if both these lows, so this low and this low, mitigate an important liquidity pool. So if, wait, let me also open up the Bitcoin chart in the meantime, on the left side. If both these lows mitigate an important liquidity pool, so for example, like this, okay? So right now we can see that both lows have mitigated a very important liquidity pool. If price then reverses like this and breaks structure over here, this is what I basically, in a nutshell, call a high probability reversal structure. If my bias in that case is also bullish and price is at my POI, as I mentioned, I am positioning myself long. Now, the second way that I can position myself long is if price is arriving at my POI and does this. So in this case, I get a market structure break, right? Because price breaks through this significant high. Bullish market structure break. It's in my POI. But the problem here is that the second low, this one, is mitigating a very important liquidity pool. But the first low, this one, isn't mitigating an important liquidity pool. So therefore, this is not a high probability market structure break, what I just explained, but it's a significant market structure break. I can trade this one if it aligns with my bias, but only if it aligns with an SMT divergent. Okay? No SMT divergence and a significant market structure break is not a trigger that can allow me to position myself long, even if I am bullish and price is at my POI, or short, obviously, if I inverse the chart like this. So I hope that answers your question. Really nice question, Pain484. Antonin says, it took him 3 months to become profitable after he started his mentorship with me. Fills my heart, Antonin, but you know that already. Antonin is one of those students that I became very, very close with during the one-on-one mentorship program. I would say very good friends. I consider him as a very, very good and close friend. And I think and hope that he thinks the same. The Rune Wizard is asking a question that I have a very strong opinion on. He's asking whether I am a dog or cat person. Dog person, my friend. I definitely don't hate cats, but I just love dogs. I think trading is more like a good piece of music. It doesn't need to be complex to create a masterclass. Fully agreed, Vladimir. Very well said. I really like that. Yudhishthira is asking, hey, do you use ICT Killzone? No, I don't use any of ICT's stuff. Maybe I do. I don't know. I just never looked at his mentorships or whatsoever. I just know that he is very arrogant, I believe, on social media. Less is more indeed, Vladimir. Just started the X journey. I regret not doing it earlier, so now we go hard. I love it, Jordi. You can always send me a DM on X. I always go through all of my DMs on X and always reply as far as I know. Price action indeed is king, Vladimir. I believe in simplicity too, because there's too much factors playing into bias confirmation and trading creative false. Yeah, true. Too many variables, you know, always say analysis can create paralysis. You know what I mean? Especially when you're over analyzing stuff in life, but also in trading. That's literally ETH if we break the 2-hour candle above now. Also imagine you miss your entry now, that would be cinema. Yeah, exactly what I just explained, Jordi. So the high probability market structure break is exactly Ethereum over here. So you can see the SMT is not even needed, right? Because both lows, this one and also this one, are mitigating this very important liquidity pool. So if price can break above this high, you have yourself a high probability market structure break. And you can start seeking for longs, because that would be my trigger. And it also aligns with my bias. Perfect example indeed, Jordi. I am not long on ETH, so I don't know. And also, I'm not a financial advisor, Irsa. So if you're asking me what is a good stop loss, I don't know, my friend. I don't know, my friend. Appreciate that, Anthony. How much investment is needed for the training program? Juan Casanaza, please make sure to apply for the mentorship program if you want to. It's literally the first link in the description down below. I am out of spots for the month of December, but in January I will onboard 2 or 3 new people. So you can apply for the mentorship program and I will reach out to you. I will try not to give too much alpha away. Like trading lower high time frame, in my opinion, Jack, has little to do with how big your portfolio is. At the end of the day, my strategy works on all time frames, you know? The thing is though, and I think this is why I prefer not to trade the 1 minute and 3 minute and I only trade 5 minute and 15 minute and above, is that a 1 minute candle contains 1/5 of the amount of data that a 5 minute candle contains, right? If a 5 minute candle contains 5 times the amount of data compared to a 1 minute candle, it means that the outcome is a lot more reliable, right? Of 5 minute price action compared to 1 minute price action. Because the more data and data points you have, the more reliable the outcome will be. So if I would execute my exact strategy on the 1 minute time frame and 1 minute confirmations compared to the 5 minute time frame and 5 minute confirmations, yes, I might be able to execute more trades, but my win rate and my rate of succeeding will be a lot lower on the 1 minute time frame compared to the 5 minute time frame, simply because those 1 minute candles contain much less data compared to 5 minute candles. Hey, appreciate that, Jordi. Really appreciate that, my friend, and good luck at the gym. Kill him. You can always send me in the DM, my friend. Appreciate it. And thank you for tuning in and for being so active in the chat. I really appreciate it. I appreciate it, by the way, of all of you guys. Everyone that is here today, still 85 viewers, and everyone that has liked, subscribed, or is just active in the chat, or just silently lurking the stream. I appreciate you guys a lot. So thank you for that. There is a lot of free educational material out there on Brighter Data. How to set it up, check place. A lot. You can just go to the Brighter Data YouTube channel, and the entire educational curve can be found there. I did so many times throughout the stream, Judy. So you can just scroll back in the live stream, and I've explained it many times by now. That's not a problem. Just apply, and we can always have a chat, Juan Casanza. Where are you from, my friend? It's my pleasure, Jack. Will you upload live streams VODs? I'm about to go rabbit hole into your fits about marketing stuff. Yeah, I always leave my live streams online, and what I'm actually doing as well these days is that I'm recording my live streams, and an editor will take a lot of clips from the live streams, and we're gonna push them onto social media as well. Yeah, the hour 4 is a strong hour to put in a potential higher low for the day, Kelechi. So when we go to Bitcoin and look, for example, the last 6 months, when we look at hour 4, we can see 5.3% of days actually put in the first pivot during hour 4. So a decent amount of days. Anything below 3% is weak, in my opinion. Even 3%, I don't really like that. So you can see the hours between 0 and 5. Hour 7 is a decent hour, and then also the hours between 12 and 14. I love that, Juan Casanza. Well, I am actually these days a co-founder of Brighter Data, so I will make sure that it doesn't disappear. And if it does disappear, it will definitely affect my trading style. I don't know what to do without Brighter Data, to be fair. Well, that's not true, but it would decrease my win rate. Yeah, you can definitely apply for the mentorship program. Same goes for you, Anubis. Just apply. We have a chat, and we see if you fit into the program. In my opinion, like personality-wise and that kind of stuff, is much more important for me whether people are able to pay for the mentorship program. You know, I just first want to see if someone is is suitable for the program. Totally forgetting about Bitcoin. Still nothing. Boring New York session, man. Blood clot. Not yet, Caseta. Not yet. Because both have been putting during hour 13. Oh no. This one hour 13, this one hour 14. So for now, the high is still a little bit more likely to hold compared to the low. But if price manages to break above this high, this low will have like a 90% probability to hold until this time period over here. So in that case, I'm hoping for an aggressive squeeze up like this towards buy side potentially. If that would be very, very nice. Maurice is hyping up my mentorship program. One of my favorite students I've ever had. And also one of the most successful students. And also now a real life friend of mine. It's just a waiting game, guys, for Bitcoin, but also ETH. Friday when I was streaming, I think around this time, like 4:30, is when a lot of volatility started kicking in. So let's hope we get something similar today. Still in the swing as well. I'm hungry, man. Very choppy indeed, Safari. Do you have stop below today's low, or do you allow price dynamic tap? For now, I have my stop of my long beneath this demand. Thank you for tuning in, Epic Warzone. Good luck yourself today, my friend. Thank you for tuning in. I understand that we cannot. I understand that we can't have a 100% win rate. So how do you deal with a losing trade? I mean, after losing one, we take another trade. Do you aim to recover the losing trade with the current trade? No. The only way that I think you can deal well with a losing trade or losing streak is if you have a stack of proof that you are a profitable trader and that you have an edge on the market and that your strategy is profitable, right? I think if you lack the data set that is proving the profitability of your trading, a losing trade is hard to cope with. But I now have 4 years of profitable trading backing up my profitability and backing up my strategy. So if I take a loss or a losing trade or a losing streak or whatever losing month, I am chilling. Because I know that as long as I continue to execute my trades over a longer period of time, I am going to make money. I'm going to make profit. So I don't struggle with that at all anymore. Did you struggle with trading emotions a lot when you first started, or how did it go? I struggled with it until I realized how important it actually was. Okay, so I'm quite a disciplined person myself, and I think that comes from playing professional football. And at first, when I started with trading, I didn't treat it as trading. I treated it as gambling, literally. So I wasn't busy with psychology or keeping my emotions in check. But when I started doing my research and really started diving into trading, and I noticed and realized how important the emotions were, I quite quickly think, that I got a grasp of keeping my emotions in check. I need to sneeze. Apologies. No, I use statistical data for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Euro against the dollar, one Constanza. It is indeed a game of longevity, Kalechi. Thank you, Beast Horror. Thank you, my friend. Thanks, bro. So I just better stick with my trading system and profit-taking rule, not trying to recover the losing one. 1000%. Just continue to execute your trading strategy and system over and over and over again. Build your data set, which in the end will prove your profitability or prove your unprofitability, but it will also allow you to refine and actually build an edge on the market. Yeah, I was locked in for a little bit. I was looking at my left screen. Sorry, Sarah. Boring New York session, guys. Not going to lie, but I am enjoying the stream though. Lots of nice questions. There's someone saying hi to me, but if the market is boring, I'm just gonna cuddle with my dog. I love your strategy, gonna learn much from you and keep it simple as your advice. Thank you, Safari. Really happy to hear that, my friend. Where are you from, Safari? I would love to automate this data. Imagine having a bot that reads all your data and alerts you giving. I have one automated strategy currently that is in the process of getting built, which is completely based off this data actually. Do you try to use your system to trade every day? And how many trades do you do in a month? I think I take on average around 5 trades per week. 5, like let's say 3 to 7 trades per week, depends. But usually on average around 5. Say hi, Leo. Say hi. Yes, say hi. No, we do not have volatility data yet on Brighter data, but it is coming. You try to use your system to. Oh, I answered that question already. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Oh. Oh. What made me start trading? Oh, I think. Yeah. I don't know. I think it was just interest. You know, I was just super interested in making money in the art of trading. Yeah, usually I trade the M15 time frame. That would be sick, right, Kalechi? North of Italy, 0 friends in this world from here. I most feel alone here and connect with people from other countries. You can always send me a DM on X or Instagram Safari to connect with me, my friend. Don't feel afraid to reach out to me. I always respond to everyone. Appreciate it, Safari. Guys, I think there's not much happening. I think I might be wrapping up the stream, to be fair. Also hella hungry. Hella hungry. And I have quite some calls tonight that I have to attend. Not really Quanta Strike Pro. Other question, wild chopping market, do you consider yourself a day trader or swing trader? Day trader. Juan Casanza. Juan Casanasa. If I pronounce your name correct. Crypto Bitcoin Titan is asking if I will be live trading again in the next 10 days. Well, on Thursday, I will be leaving the country towards Lapland. I'll be spending 4 days there until Sunday. But next week, I can definitely maybe host like a Christmas stream or like a stream in between Christmas and New Year's Eve. And I will be leaving towards Cape Town, South Africa on the 30th of December. I'll try to do some streaming there, of course, as well. Thanks for the stream. Hope to see you stream more often. Have a great day. I definitely will try to beast horror. All right, guys. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to today's live stream. I hope you guys enjoyed today's live stream. If you guys did enjoy today's live stream, I want to ask you guys one thing, two things actually. A like and a subscribe to the channel. To those that don't follow me yet on Instagram and Twitter, make sure to follow me there. You can find the links to my Instagram and Twitter page in the description down below. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys soon. Thank you, and ciao, ciao.